Oh, yeah, your sister. Hey, good morning.
Hey, sorry we're late.
Oh, Dad's with coffee.
You know how it goes sometimes. 8 o'clock becomes 8:05.
Some days,
We're here though.
kind of like my alarm clock. It starts at one time, but I get a 5-minute reprieve every time I punch the
I
button.
got drug over the coals concerning that last night.
Oh, really?
I like a couple of snoozes.
Yeah, I have become an interested party in that.
And my phone is it gives me 9 minutes. 9 minutes to snooze.
Right.
And so I set my alarm for 18 minutes before I want to get up.
Right.
Because I need that slowly. My mom used to call it steeping, right? You have to
right.
You have to get yourself ready to get up.
I gotta get ready for the day.
Right.
And I used to be alarm goes off, you get up and you go.
Yeah.
And I have not so much anymore.
I've never been that guy.
No, I used to be, and now it's just like I look at the clock, and I don't know that I've set my alarm purposely early.
No, I'm very intentional.
But maybe a little purposely early.
And I know I'm going to need 18 minutes in the morning, so if I want to get out of bed at 7:30.
My brain is just a little foggier these days in the morning, and it just takes me a couple of snoozes to
let me tell you
actually
something.
Get awakened.
Android operator. I can go on my phone, and I can tell it every day when I want to wake up.
So can I.
And I can tell it every day when I want to go to bed.
That's not an iPhone only moment.
It is.
No, it is not. I can do the same thing.
No, they can't. It's not the same.
I can do the same thing.
It's not the same.
Yes.
So we haven't been together since March Madness ended.
Right.
And what madness it was.
Oh my gosh.
You Gonzaga Bulldog fans.
One, you got lucky the first night.
Right.
And you got wore out.
Poor UCLA.
And you didn't show up the second night.
So I'm
just calling it.
I listen to a lot of sports talk radio. I'm what you would call a Tolo, right? 105.3 The Fan. I turn it on and leave it on. And they're talking, man, how hard is it to come back from that just peak moment? You hit
overtime.
You hit an overtime buzzer beater, banked in three.
Yes.
Just an answered prayer.
Yes.
You jump up on the scorer's table and scream to a bunch of cardboard cutouts.
And then you go 0 for 5 to start the next game.
Right, with two quick fouls.
Yeah, and you're done for the next 10 minutes.
I hate it for the Gonzaga boys because they were incredible all year long.
Absolutely.
But
it makes me wonder though, looking at how Baylor played that night, is how they were playing when they were 18-0.
Yeah, before COVID.
They had the COVID issue. They lost 2 games in the recovery of the COVID issue. And they could have easily been undefeated.
That's like second preseason almost.
Yeah, they could have easily been undefeated in a normal season. Yeah. They could have been undefeated coming in.
Trying to get your legs back, trying to get your jumper back. But you know what? Sick and Bears.
But
I don't say that often. I'm not not a huge Baylor fan, but I'm not a Baylor hater.
And here's the upside. It didn't matter who you were going to root for on Monday night. Neither of them had a national championship.
Right. So it was good.
It didn't matter who you were going to root for.
It was going to be historical regardless.
It was going to be a historical night. I thought it was going to be a more competitive battle. But I think Saturday night just got into Gonzaga's psyche more.
You go down 11.
Struggle.
11 to start the game. 11-0.
Yes.
And then you miss the front end of a 2-shot free throws.
Yeah.
And, man, 11-1. And anyway.
And so I see 2 things. One, how do you come back from that? And they tried real hard. On the other side, you've got how do you keep them from coming back? And Baylor they kept the pedal on. They didn't really let up. Well, the closest Gonzaga ever got was 7.
I think.
Did they get it down to 5? Maybe 5.
I thought it was 9.
But they didn't. They were never really in the game.
Was that Monday?
They got throat punched in the first 5 minutes.
They did too.
And just never came back.
Poor Caleb. He was the only one in my house that was cheering for Gonzaga.
Really?
Everybody else was we have a lot of Bears fans around us. With Waco just being an hour away.
Well, yeah, we got a lot of Baylor grads in our own.
Yeah, right in here on our own midst.
Yes.
And I guess there's some life lessons there. Don't let your highs be so high that
you wear out.
That makes your lows that much lower.
Right. Right.
I think we can find life lessons in anything that we do.
If you look for them, you can. And I think that's part of our responsibility as dads. We get a bad rap sometimes, because of the dad jokes or the dad life lessons, because we have experience that our kids do not. And so sometimes it's hard because we're like, okay, but if you look at it this way,
right.
Or, they go through something and we pull out a life lesson moment. And even, I know I'm saying it sarcastically, but we do that. And I think it's because we want them to understand it, and they may not be seeing it as it is.
Yeah.
They have to see it from a different. This is what Jesus did when he told parables.
Right.
He could have spoken straight and nobody would have understood it.
No.
But he told parables and he told stories. He gave life. Let's see that sower out in the field. Look what he's doing.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you about the seed and where it falls. And they're all like, oh yeah.
And just the simple things in life that Jesus used the parable of the sower
to confound the wise.
Yeah. Hey, some of it's going to land on. I know that wasn't concrete or anything, but what we would think of as concrete.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. It was a hard path.
If it's tossed over there, it's never going to grow there. You're not going to be able to root there.
It's not going to grow there.
That's kind of like trying to plant a tree in Texas. It's tough. We killed 3 trees over by the youth building the first year we tried to build them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I grew up in Kentucky and Tennessee. You can just throw things on any soil and it's going to grow.
Right.
The blackness of that soil, the rich, it's just different.
Just good Missouri dirt. So STAR testing this week. I don't know if you guys have heard the debacle that has been the STAR test.
Yes, the online system went down for a time.
For those of you that are listening from outside of Texas, it's like the Iowa test or the MMAT in Missouri.
Yep.
I don't know what they call it in Tennessee and Oklahoma.
Well, Oklahoma's a STAR test. I know it's the TAT or the TAS test.
Yeah. Texas, we used to have the TAX test.
Anyway, it's that proficiency test.
It's an annual proficiency.
And it's a leveling. Where are our so we can evaluate our students, we can evaluate our teachers, we can evaluate our system. Where are we? I'm not a fan of it. I know my educator friends may not hate on me for it. I don't like it because I think we end up teaching for a test and not teaching what needs to be taught.
For the learning, yeah.
Yeah. And hey, I'm an outsider. I'm not an educator. I get that. If
you are an educator, educate us.
I'm a parent of 2. And I had one come through at the 3rd grade time, and there was so much pressure on the teachers that particular year that the teachers were commenting, if you all don't do well enough, I lose my job.
And how do you put that pressure on a kid?
And
my job depends on how well you do on this test. And I don't get the grade at this time.
And I don't get the grade on curve. So that's kind of my frustration with that is, but that's the whole idea of teaching for a test, that, the No Child Left Behind thing. I get it. I understand what they wanted to accomplish, but I'm not sure that we're doing it by standardized testing.
Well, and I'm not sure No Child Left Behind has done what No Child Left Behind was supposed to do.
Yes. It ended up being something.
No Child Left Behind means I can't hold a kid back.
Yeah.
Well, I got held back in 7th grade.
Right. Yeah, your sister let the world know that.
I know.
The other
She's
day. She's the informant of the Warren family, I think.
She is.
When you were growing up, was she like the informant? Anything that went wrong, she informed on?
She...
and I'm not calling out which sister it is yet, but...
she and one of my brothers and a cousin.
You being the baby, of course, you did no wrong ever.
Well, of course. Mom loved me most. It's just true.
Well, she didn't have any kids after you, so she must have
finally got it right.
She finally got what she wanted and decided, okay, I'm done now.
That's the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Does Evan feel that way?
Of course. Of course. We talked about 6 kids, but then Evan came out and we were like,
I don't want. Yeah,
how do we get better than this?
I don't want any more.
We really just didn't want any more kids.
Right.
We were going to stop at 3, but then 3 is such a weird number. Then Ryan
you-
would have had
but you
that
get- but you get a middle child thing,
syndrome.
yeah.
But now Ryan and Carter both have it. So,
Exactly. Now you just grew the middle.
whatever. They
Kind
get
of like a
along.
50-year-old male, you just grow in the middle.
A 47. And the camera does add 10 pounds.
Yeah,
for you.
it's
Yeah.
the camera, people. It's the camera. I'm telling you.
That's not fair. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Eric. It's not fair to the kids because, man, it's just impossible to tell a kid, look, my job depends on how well or not well you do on this test.
Right. Right.
But anyway, they try to do it all online.
Oh yeah.
And I
that
don't
was
know
a
how
failure.
I don't know how many third and fourth grade students are in the state of Texas, but I'm going to guess it's well into the millions. And they're all on Chromebooks
Right.
on a single server operation,
Yeah. I don't know why they thought that was a good thing.
all starting at the
the
same time.
See, I don't know why. I don't know who their IT operator is. I'm not sure why they thought, if it truly is a single server, I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea.
So we have multiple air conditioning units here at the church. And if I were to go and turn on all those air conditioners at one time, it would put such a bog on our system. Now, our system can handle every bit of the output, from every bit of the units.
Right.
But it's that initial surge
Yeah.
that just takes it out.
You've got to layer it in.
Yeah. You have to stagger it in.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the word I was looking for.
Whether it be 15, 30, 40
Right.
minutes in between.
or
but you
even
have to-
5 or 10 minutes, just giving some time in
something to
between.
allow stabilization,
Mhm.
right?
Let the pressure get out and then come back up, and then
And all this because they don't want to compromise the test.
because third graders are going to be shooting it out on Twitter what the answers are.
Hey man, question 50 was
Oh,
C.
my
It was
gosh.
confusing, but it was C.
Right.
No. And then of course, when Twitter goes, no, it was B, bro. I got B on that. You know it was B.
Right. Well, I thought it was A, so why y'all hate me so much?
Right. Yeah. Well,
That's how Twitter goes.
where's the D team at? D team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Why they thought that was going to be a problem? I'm not sure.
why don't we split Texas into quadrants? Okay, this northeast quadrant, this south. Let's all just
Texas really should have been 4 different states.
well, it's gigantic.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
You realize it's the 12th largest economy in the world
the
as a
DFW,
state.
the DFW Metroplex, where we live,
Yes, 12
Has-
million people.
has more people than probably 20 states.
Yeah. Oh,
And
absolutely.
more than Missouri, more than Oklahoma,
Absolutely.
more than those on the left side of the map that nobody ever looks at.
Yeah. The DFW alone has more population than a few states combined.
Yeah.
But that's why New York, Texas, and California, all 3 as independent states, are in the top 15 of the global economy scale.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
So could they have been divided up? They could have been, but they weren't. Because one state for all.
But yeah, we're not talking about secession here.
Some are. We are not.
not.
We are not.
We are not. Could we handle it? Yes. Should we handle it? No. So Aaron texted me last night.
Yeah.
And says, "Hey man, what are we
What are we going to talk about tomorrow?
standard Wednesday night text? I think he just has it in his phone. Topic.
It's copy and paste.
It is.
Yeah.
It's usually one or two words. Topic tomorrow. What are we talking about? Any ideas?
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
So I thought I just had a camp meeting last night.
Yeah.
We are going to Falls Creek.
Woohoo!
If you have a teenager, anyone from
Sign
7th
up.
to 12th grade, sign them up before April 30th. It's only $150.
It's a discounted rate, early bird rate till April 30th.
I've never, ever done camp this cheap. Ever.
But except for a COVID year, this is what has to happen.
Yeah. $150. Get your kid in. After that, it's going to be $175. But, I just finished that. And then he texted me. And it took me a second. My mind is still spinning through details of
Right. Well,
camp
even
meeting.
your meeting was completely different.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was
So
the pre-meeting in Oklahoma.
was so different. And that's kind of what precipitated your thought.
Yeah, it's they changed the format instead of just information, just feeding you with a fire hose.
Right.
Let's have a time of worship. And let's go to the breakouts and let's try to discuss
Best practices.
best practices.
Best option.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Here's what I do.
Let's collaborate.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a interesting.
And yeah,
thinking.
while we did have the information that we needed, you
Sure.
know, the details.
Yeah.
Most people at this point, if you've been to Falls Creek or if you're going to Falls Creek, you've been to Falls Creek.
Right. And and some of those things haven't changed in a long time.
And there, you know, of course there's going to be new people every year.
Right. Right.
But chances are, if you're in a new church in Oklahoma, if you're a new youth pastor in Oklahoma, that church has been going. That church has been going
absolutely,
to camp at Oklahoma,
absolutely.
at Falls Creek.
So the topic we're going to talk about is,
how was your life growing up in church? How was your life different than what your kid's life is, or is it?
oh yeah, totally different.
It's
And I think raising kids, not just church, but the way we were raised and the way kids are raised today, or the culture in which they are raised.
The culture is huge.
Is so radically different. My wife and I were having this conversation last night or the night before, and I said, you know, the things we have found ourselves giving parental wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, you really need to do this, or you know, you really should do that. And our unnamed child, you know, we'll come back with. Well, actually, they both kind of do it, so it doesn't really matter. But you know, they'll have an answer. Well, you know, got to do this, and it's different than the way we would have done that.
Right.
And what I'm finding is it's different. The expectation of an employer or an educator is different than it was when we were coming through.
Mm-hmm.
If we did certain things, it showed assertiveness and it showed interest, it showed passion, and that was rewarded.
Right.
That's not how it happens today.
It's kind of weird.
It's not the same.
To me.
Oh, it's totally weird.
It's kind of weird to me.
You know, because it's not that assertiveness is bad, but exercising assertiveness doesn't get you any further like it did when we were coming up.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, they're not handing out a lot of gold stars for extra achievement.
No. In fact, almost negatively, if you bug them,
right. Hey, what can I do now?
Your name goes on the bottom of the pile instead of, oh, I really like that self-assertion and this is good. This is a good candidate.
Right.
No.
Why did that change? We don't know the answer to that.
I have thoughts, but
those are just opinions.
That's all they're going to be.
All we have
is opinions. Well, our whole educational system shifted. Our whole cultural system shifted.
For example, I go to have a kickball game the other night, and a friend of mine who's a coach at the high school has a t-ball team. It used to be on Wednesdays and Sundays, there wasn't anything else going on.
Oh, now you're going to just rile them up now, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine. We'll stir the pot, kick the hornet's nest, whatever we're going to do. Nowadays, Wednesdays and Sundays have lost that glamour, have lost that sacredness.
Oh, yeah. As has everything.
You know, I think that's why we as Baptists have church on Wednesday. There's nothing biblical about Wednesday.
Hump day.
But we have church on Wednesday because Wednesday was the day that calendars were free and clear.
You know, but back in the day, I mean, Southern Baptist started in 1850s, you know. So we didn't have sports.
Not like this.
So why and I don't even know, I got to go back and read it. Why was it Wednesday?
Why was it Wednesday?
Why wasn't it Thursday? Why didn't we grow up doing Thursday night church? Why not Thursday night church? Why was it Wednesday? It was because Wednesday was a bad TV night.
Football's on Thursday.
Was Wednesday a bad TV night? So we just chose to have that because Thursday comedy was, you know, we couldn't have it then.
You got to roll too close to the weekend.
You know, I mean, you know, some colleges have what they call a 3-party system.
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But anyway, I digress.
Anyway, we're not going to mention which college.
One that my son attends. But anyway, but you know, things are different, and it's hard. I mean, I'm going to tell you, he's further along in it than I am. We're not too far away.
Not too bad. Yeah.
But gosh, some days I don't know if you feel this way. Some days I just feel lost. I feel lost in my own culture. not because of moral and ethical issues, though those are
Well,
my own pool I got to swim in.
I'm okay to be away from those though.
Yeah, me too. But just saying the wrong thing. I mean, there's how many times have you started to write a post and stopped yourself
I did
and
yesterday.
erased it because we don't have the freedom to share our opinion without getting hammered for it, especially us in the church.
Right.
I can't share my opinion and not get hammered for it.
So we keep it to ourselves and we stop teaching.
Right.
For fear of backlash.
And sometimes that backlash is from church people.
And that reminds me of growing up in church.
Yeah.
So until I was about 10 years old, I can remember we were in church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Without fail.
Right.
You know,
3 times a week.
Dad was a deacon. Mom was doing the WMU stuff. We had discipleship training. Remember that on Sunday nights?
Yeah.
RAs, GAs, me and my brothers and all went through. And then we just kind of stopped.
Okay.
And I didn't know why. I was young. I was, of course, being the favorite child, I was the youngest of 7.
Right. Being the favorite child, you were not having to hear about all the issues that the others do.
Jane Ann is on this morning, so she understands the youngest favorite
Absolutely.
child aspect.
Youngest favorite.
That's why we're so tight. And so we just stopped going. Well, come to find out, something was said about someone or to someone or someone. Someone didn't do something for this someone or it all turns out somebody's feelings got hurt.
Sure.
So we stopped going to church.
Right. Or somebody's feelings got hurt for somebody else and you quit going to church.
I didn't understand it, but I was 10. And now I could go play football with my buddies at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings.
So that's all that mattered.
Because that's when we went. Yeah. Because I grew up in a very Catholic town.
Right.
And they would go to early mass or they would go to Saturday night mass.
Absolutely.
Right. So like, hey man, we're football at 10. Yes, I'll be there. Because then we'd be back home at noon for the Chiefs game.
Right.
But then I met Joanna.
Right.
And she says, hey man, will you go to church with me? It's part of my testimony. You know,
Is that who you're standing beside in that Facebook picture of a youth group moment that your sister wonderfully put up for us?
Oh yeah. Thanks, Laura.
Was that Joanna?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
That was Joanna. Did you see my ball and chain?
I did.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Don.
Anyway, you were saying.
So, part of my testimony is I walked the aisle at 6 years old, but I wasn't saved.
Okay.
I was lost as a goose.
Why?
Because I didn't make a decision for me in Christ. I walked down the aisle because my cousin did.
Okay. Because I went through a time of doubting myself.
No, I never had a spiritual conversion at that moment.
Okay.
That's it. And I know that.
Oh, okay.
But I lived like I had.
Right.
I lived with the confidence that until I was 25 years old.
Right.
That I'm doing things right. And, but I was just faking it. We've all faked church at one point in our lives, I believe.
Sure.
You're welcome. Laura's on now. But then when Joanna and I started dating, she's like, hey, will you go to church with me? And part of the things that I don't tell about my testimony is that because I started going back to church at 17 years old, my mom and dad started going back to church.
That's cool.
Well, probably 7 years later, and got involved again and got back in the church. And it made me happy that even after I left, they continued to go to the same church until they died.
The same church they left or a different
church?
church?
Different church.
Okay.
Different church. We won't mention the names.
No, it happens.
It happens.
Stuff happens.
There was a little country church. I went back and visited, and I remember the church being
right.
And the church is
I
look around and I'm like, wow, I can't believe, because we built an addition, right? I remember when we built it.
Yeah.
And they added a whole wing with a nursery and
you thought it was huge.
2 children's classrooms. And man, it was just the greatest thing that I had ever seen. I have a lot of great memories from that church. We would have elementary Sunday school.
Yeah.
And it was downstairs in the basement, church basement.
Right.
Also, where you went if you needed to get whooped was in the church basement.
Yes.
Um,
We can't do that anymore either.
if my mom was alive, she would. She ain't scared.
Right.
Yeah, if you've ever been dragged out of the church by your ear downstairs into the basement, and then preacher has to talk a little louder. But my kids, my kids have been drugged, right?
Right.
I've drugged them to church their
right.
whole life.
Right. Right. Mine too.
And I don't think to their detriment. Probably most of the people that are watching were drugged to church by their parents.
Right.
And they probably went kicking and screaming at first. But now they understand how important it is for them to be in church. They want to see their kids in church. They want to see their grandkids in the church.
Right.
And on and on and on down
So
the line.
let me ask a deep question.
Okay.
When did it change that when you were, we'll call it offended,
Okay.
when you were offended in church and you quit going? Because it seems to me that people getting offended in church has probably not started since 1955. It's probably been before that. And yet people still went to church. They didn't quit going. They dealt with their issues or something. I mean, when do you think that began? Because, like you said, in your raising, somebody got hurt and you quit going for a while. And you see that a lot today.
A lot.
But when did that start? In your opinion, is that something that's always happened and we're just more aware of it now? Or is it something that changed after World War II? Because I see a lot of things changing after World War II and not all for the better.
You're right about that. Holy cow.
And I'm not trying to be a homer and go, okay, everything was better in the 30s, and I'm not saying the old ways were automatically better. I'm just saying that it seems like we dealt with our junk better than we deal with it today.
I think I'm probably going to hurt some feelings.
You're going to lose some friends over this?
Yeah, we've become very self-serving.
Consumer.
Yeah.
What I would call a consumer-based culture.
Yeah, but I'm a little more rude than that. We want what's best for me. And we don't care so much about what's best for we.
Well, and that is a definite cultural shift that has happened.
Right.
We have moved into me, not we.
Right. My opinion is more important than yours, even though I'm the only one with the opinion, and there's 9 other people that have
a different
opinion. Right. These 9 people agree, but I disagree. I'm right, you're wrong. You're smart. I'm smart, you're dumb.
Right.
And then we as a society have decided that we're going to cater to that one
instead of the 9
over the 9.
Right.
Or we to try to make to make them like us. I've never been a
right.
I don't know.
I haven't really cared if they like me.
I don't either.
I did. I used to when I was a kid. I did. I had self-esteem issues that I had to work through, and I did a lot of stupid things to try to be in the accepted crowd. I did. As I got into my 20s, I got into college. I cared less about that, to please somebody else wasn't as big a concern as it once was. But now we are supposed to go to the nth degree to make sure that everybody is placated and everybody is made happy.
And that's just impossible.
And that everybody is right in their own way.
It's literally impossible to make everyone happy.
Right.
Wasn't it Lincoln said you can please all the people some of the time, some of the people all the time, but you'll never please all the people all the time?
I don't know if Lincoln said that.
Who said that?
I don't think Lincoln said that.
Go to whosaidthat.com and say see who said that.
I'm sure somebody said that. But,
someone said that.
But raising kids today is just different, and I've noticed it in the generation younger than us, or our kids.
Yeah, our kids. Yeah.
Well,
just look at our 2 high school students.
Yeah.
Mine starts school at 7:00 in the morning, every morning.
Right.
And, on game nights, he gets home at 10.
Sure.
On church nights, he gets home at 9.
Right.
On practice nights, he gets, like, if he has choir practice after school, he'll get home at 8. you know, my kid's going to school for 12, 13 hours a day.
We never did.
No.
And I'm not sure. And I know the educational system is, we're not the top dog in the world any longer. And so we're chasing the Asians, China, Japan. We're chasing them. But I'm not sure that 12 hours a day, granted, some of that is
it's all extracurricular.
Some of it's extracurricular.
It's band, it's choir,
Right.
it's baseball, it's football, it's
Right.
powerlifting, it's
right. But I know a lot of kids that are doing that, and I'm not sure that it is to our benefit all the time. I mean, mine does it too, and I'm not sure that they keep wanting to lengthen the school year and lengthen the school day. I don't know that that's the answer.
I don't think it is.
But that's a whole other conversation of why they don't have authority in schools anymore like they used to.
A whole nother idea for a whole nother day.
Don't need to get into that monkey ball today. So, but raising, it's different. We live in an age that we are, by our cultural and political positions, it's being demanded of us to tolerate everybody. But the word tolerate, when we were growing up,
is totally different.
It's different than how they define tolerate when people were raising kids today. When we were coming up, to tolerate somebody is to not be a bully to them. That, okay, I'm going to tolerate you. I don't want,
we can be in the same room. We don't have to talk. We don't have to look at each other. We don't have to do anything. We can just exist in the same space.
But today, for me to tolerate, that definition has adjusted itself to mean not only do I have to be in the same space with you, but I now have to accept what you're doing as equally important or valid as what I am doing. And that's a different level of toleration,
right?
That than what we grew up with. And that itself is a major adjustment that many people are struggling.
It's a culture shift.
Struggling with, well, let's just put it out there. I was reading in Crowley Talk the other day, and it's fine.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going.
And somebody asked, honest talk time. Okay, honest talk with Dad's time. Is there an LGBTQ friendly church in Crowley? And the conversation that happened that ensued after that. I think you read all of that.
I did.
That ensued was, okay, to be friendly and to be supportive are two different things. And therein lies some of the issue of even the change of the definition of toleration.
Right.
Is, somebody says, are you friendly? And now we have to ask, what does that mean? Because talking to some of our church members that also read that, they put our name out there and said, hey, yeah, we're friendly, but we're not going to be supportive of that. And that doesn't mean, and this is leading into the sermon this coming Sunday on, how do we prove our life in Christ? We do it by loving other people.
Tune in, youtube.com, search First Baptist Church Crowley.
Because
9 a.m. and 11:15 a.m.
We are called to love people.
Right. Period.
You don't qualify that. You don't quantify that. We are to love people. So in the biblical command, we are an LGBTQ friendly environment, or we're supposed to be. That does not mean that I'm going to applaud that choice. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to say that choice is okay. But human to human, I'm still supposed to love you.
Right.
That's where we run into issues in our church. You are all kinds of tied up there.
Look at
go
this.
under, come through to grandmother's house. We'll go
over the river and through the woods. I'm such a distraction today. And that flows.
And that's the and that is a problem. Because we, unfortunately, in our division politically and our division nationally, are now being divided spiritually over these kinds of issues. And if I don't support you, this is where the toleration comes in. Well, if you don't support my choice, then you hate me. No, bro, I don't hate you. I love you as a human. I may not like the choices that you're making, but I'm going to still love you and I'm going to befriend you.
Here's a gigantic, for example. I will never, ever in my life support abortion. I won't. I don't think it's right. I think
Right.
that you're disregarding human life. I think, and look, I'm all about adoption. I'm all about the foster system. I'm all about, look, I'm not going to pat my own back here.
But
make adoption easier.
Right.
Make it not cost me $30,000
oh my gosh.
to raise a child that someone else would disregard. Let's teach proper sexual education.
Right.
And not glamorize it.
Right. I saw a thing
so that we have 13 and 14-year-olds having babies.
I saw a thing the other day that says, a mom was standing in front of a whiteboard. Do you see this? And it had protect our daughters. And she had drew a line through that and said, teach our sons.
Educate our sons.
Educate our sons. And while we do not, I know where you're going, while we don't support abortion, you don't, I don't, a woman who's gone through that faces a certain level of emotional trauma.
And what is our job as a church?
Love them.
Love them through it.
Love them through it. Don't educate them on what they shouldn't have done. Don't hate them for what they did, because your sin and my sin is as egregious as that sin.
Any other sin.
So don't try to educate your way out of making yourself feel better. Love that person, period. Love people, period.
How do we get better than that right now?
And that's the challenge. That's the challenge, is to understand our kids and their situation.
Yeah.
It's different than our situation. And the answers we had don't fit. It's a square peg in a round hole of answers today. And we have to make the adjustment. Whether you're 75 and you need to make adjustments for the 40-year-old, or the 40-year-old need to make adjustments for the 15-year-old. We all have to shift. I mean, church in the 30s saw the boomer generation born after World War II, and they radically shaped a new style of church.
Right.
We're needing a new style of church today, and the boomers are in resistance. They don't want to do it. And yet the church changed for them, but they don't want to change for the next generation. That's not loving people. That's loving yourself. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind.
Yeah.
And the second is like it. Love the neighbor.
Absolutely.
Love your neighbor as yourself. And that's
absolutely.
So you know what? We're going to close with that. Go out and find somebody to love.
Yeah. Love people.
Go love on the unloved.
It's messy.
It is messy.
Loving people is messy. And if you don't want messy, you don't want Christianity.
Yeah.
Christianity is messy. Jesus sat with sinners and was condemned for it.
Sure was.
But he did it. Why?
Why are you going to invite Zacchaeus? Why are you going to his house?
So maybe we should stop hanging out with each other's pharisaical tendencies and hang out with people like prostitutes and love them into Jesus.
He's right.
We're out.
He's right. Thanks, guys. We literally love you guys.
That's right.